guys, are you applying to college and considering elite colleges and wondering, are they really worth it? If so, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Before I get too deep into this video, I want to remind everyone to go check out SupertutorTV.com, where we've got the best ACT prep course ever. With this course, we have helped students improve anywhere from 2 to 12 points on the exam. On average, from those we've had report back, we've been seeing about a 5-point increase for those students who have done our course. So I recommend that you go check it out if you're looking for a higher ACT score. If you're looking for a higher SAT score, we are on it. We're working on it. Our SAT prep course is slated to drop in the next, say, month and a half. So keep your eyes peeled. SupertutorTV.com/subscribe is where you can sign up for our mailing list, and we will tell you first when that release date is coming. So what I'm going to talk about today are 4 advantages to attending an elite college. As many of you guys know, I attended Stanford as an undergrad. So some of this is based on my own experience, and some of it's based on data. So I'm going to start with a couple of points that are based on my own experience, and then I'm going to go to a couple of points that are more data-driven. And let's get started. The first advantage that I want to talk about is the experience. I think going to college itself is an awesome opportunity to have a really cool life experience. And for me, I think being able to go to Stanford was super awesome because it was a place where I could totally geek out, and the priorities in terms of learning and what learning was about were so different from what I was used to in high school. When I was in high school, I felt like education was all about just getting the grade. I felt like I had to do stupid busy work worksheets to prove that I did what I was supposed to do. I felt like I had to jump through hoops that were kind of meaningless, but that I just had to do because that's what you had to do in school. And I felt like I was reading books, and the only point was what some character's sock color was. That's what I was tested on. But when I went to college, that totally changed, and it was a totally different ballpark, because suddenly I was in a community where people were actually really excited about ideas, and there was a very clear excitement about ideas, learning, all that good stuff. The other thing I'll say, I did go to USC for grad school. So if you're making a decision between kind of like that very competitive university and like top school, I really do value a lot of the people that I met at USC. I learned a lot of skills. I got a film degree at USC, and so obviously, hey, Super Tutor TV, I'm using those skills now. But I will say that in terms of the intellectual experience, I think those sort of top 10 kind of schools, there's an intellectual experience that you're going to get at those schools that you're not necessarily going to get if you go to a school that's ranked, 20, 25, whatever it is. I'm speaking again from my own experience. I can't necessarily speak to every human being's experience on the planet, but that's my experience. There you go. The next advantage of going to a great school is the network that you get. That network is something that you not only get while you're at that school, but it continues on and on and on and on and on. I even still participate in Stanford alumni events, and I love them because, again, it's another opportunity to connect with that sort of intellectually driven community. I also think that at least Stanford has like a particular ethos to its culture, right? It has a culture, and I think that culture is very entrepreneurial. It's very empowering. It's very much like you can change the world, go for it. That's kind of the attitude that we have as a community, and I love that attitude, and I really, have drunk the Kool-Aid of it. And I love that network that I get that goes along with it, as well as all the friends that I have that have gone there. I think it's super cool to have a lot of people with a ton of different interests from all over that are just trying to crush it in life. Like, I really like that. So that's the network. There's something to say for it. And having that name on your resume can also get you in the door, but it can connect you with people, through alumni network events that continue for the rest of your life. So there you go. My third point is that where you go actually does matter in some fields. So I know in my other video where I talk about why top colleges don't really matter, I talk a little bit about how what you major in matters more than where you go. This is kind of like the opposite of that point, which is if you're going to major in something that's not a super stellar top major, where you go starts to matter a lot more. There was a study at BYU that was released in 2016, and it was profiled in the Wall Street Journal. And it found that business and liberal arts majors often needed the prestige of an elite university to have a serious impact on the world around them. Whereas those that were majoring in education and science, engineering, mathematics, and technology tended to have more equivalent incomes and more equivalent outcomes to peers who attended less prestigious universities. there was another study as well that also corroborated those findings, and that was a study by a guy named Paul Attewell and another guy named Dirk Witt-Evin. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name. They're at the City University of New York Graduate Center, and they found a similar trend in the sense that the disparity between incomes of people at top universities and mid-level universities and selective universities, et cetera, that kind of staircase of income after you graduate from a university based on its reputation, they found that the steps were farther apart when people were coming from liberal arts or business majors. And they found that the steps were closer together when people were in STEM majors. That being said, that study also found the opposite of what the study found in my video on why top colleges are overrated. And what I basically mean by that is they found that there still was some financial advantage to going to a brand name top school over going to a lesser ranked school. Basically what the methodology was in this particular study was they took all these factors that should influence your end of the day salary, and they took all of those into account. And then after taking all of those into account, they said, does it still matter if you go to an elite school? Does it still up your end of the day pay rate? And they found that it does. But they just found that the difference in pay is a lot less than it looks when you look at like payscale.com and you see like somebody from this university makes $48,000 a year and somebody from Stanford makes $88,000 a year. That difference was much smaller when they accounted for all these factors. But in terms of raw help, they did find that there was a little bit of a leg up that people did get across fields, though again, it's more pronounced in business and liberal arts. Nonetheless, there is a differential. When you go to an elite school, chances are you will make a little bit more money. Not a lot, but a little bit. So there you go. Number 4, if you go to an elite college, you are more likely to graduate. Now I realize for most people who go to elite colleges, they're the kind of people who would always graduate, right? Nonetheless, for all types of students, graduation rates are universally higher at elite institutions. Now, this is also true of just good institutions. So this is a kind of factor that you might think about even if like elite schools are way off your docket and you're just watching this because it's entertaining. If that's you and you end up at the end of the day having to choose between a more elite university and a less elite university, one thing that you might look at is graduation rates. If one school has a vastly higher graduation rate, I might recommend going to that school, because what matters more than anything when you invest in a college education is that you actually get your degree. Not everybody is Bill Gates. I'm just going to be honest with you. Sure, he could drop out of school and do perfectly fine, but most of us can't. Most of us need that degree in order to create a meaningful economic impact on our lives from our education. The research about graduating and this emphasis on graduating, this is an idea that was put forth by a guy named William Bowen. He's an economist and former president of Princeton, and he wrote a book in 2009 called Crossing the Finish Line. And basically, he's talking about trying to make that decision between the best school you can get into and other schools. He's got a book on it. If you're interested in reading more, hey, go check it out. So basically, the bottom line with this point, before you decide on what school you go to, you might check out the graduation rate. I know it's not something you necessarily think about. I know right now you're probably not thinking about dropping out, but it's something that happens, so you might consider it. All right, I hope you guys like this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out on Facebook, on Twitter. Go tweet us. It would be a fun thing to do, wouldn't it? Join the conversation. And I will see you guys next time. Ciao for now.